What if I told you everything you believe about money is a lie? For decades, you've been running in circles, working harder, saving more, believing one day you'll be free. Here's the truth they bury deep inside the system. Over 70% of people never achieve financial independence, not even after a lifetime of work. Why? Because the game was never designed for you to win. You were taught to run faster, not to question the track you're on. And the track is a perfect loop, an endless wheel feeding the machine. Today, we open the file they never wanted you to read. A secret buried in plain sight. A secret that keeps billions running forever. But to understand the trap, we must go back to where it all began.
They told you a simple story. Work hard, save your money, retire at 65, live free. It sounded noble, it felt safe, but it was never the truth. This belief was not born naturally, it was engineered. At the end of the 19th century, the Industrial Revolution reshaped everything. Cities grew, factories demanded endless labor, governments needed a predictable flow of taxes. To keep the machine running, they had to control people's time. The perfect solution? Convince workers to give their lives to the system in exchange for a promise they would never fully collect. In 1889, Germany introduced the first national retirement program under Chancellor Otto von Bismarck. The plan looked revolutionary. Work for decades, and the state would take care of you when you were old. But there was a detail no one noticed. Payments started at age 70, while the average worker died at 45. The math was brutal. Most people would never live to see a single coin. The program was efficient for the state, not for the worker. The idea spread. Other countries copied it. Corporations adopted it, and the message grew stronger. Stay loyal, work hard, and you will be rewarded. The illusion became a culture. Parents repeated it to children. Schools shaped young minds to follow it. Step by step, generation after generation, the belief became truth. Who would dare question something everyone accepted? But illusions evolve. As decades passed, the rules shifted quietly. Life expectancy rose, but so did the retirement age. Pensions that once seemed safe vanished. Promises were replaced with uncertainty. To keep up, workers had to run faster. Each generation worked harder than the last, yet the finish line always moved farther away. Look at today's reality. People save for 40 years only to discover their savings barely cover the basics. Over 70% never achieve financial independence. Even those who retire often depend on government checks, struggling to keep up with rising costs. The dream sold to them decades earlier collapses into stress, debt, and fear. Why does this cycle never end? Because the belief itself is the strongest chain. If you think freedom comes only after a lifetime of work, you will keep running no matter how far they push the finish line. And they push it again and again. The original system wasn't designed to set you free. It was designed to keep you producing, obedient, and predictable. While you chase the promise of tomorrow, someone else profits from every step you take today. Now ask yourself, if this illusion was created more than a century ago, who is still controlling it today? Who benefits from keeping billions of people on the same track? Why have you never been told this before? Before we dive deeper, hit the like button. The more you uncover, the more pressure there will be to keep this hidden. Because the chains holding you are not iron, they are invisible. They are made of stories. Stories you were taught to believe. Stories that shaped every choice you ever made. And in the next chapter, you'll see how those invisible chains quietly wrapped around your life, tightening year after year until escape feels impossible. You don't see them, you don't feel them, but they are there, tightening a little more every single day. These chains are not made of steel,
They are built out of rules, habits, and numbers that quietly govern your life. They're so deeply embedded in the system that you mistake them for reality itself. The first link is inflation. It's silent, almost invisible, yet relentless. A loaf of bread that cost $1 now costs $3. Rent that was affordable 10 years ago is now out of reach. Your savings lose value while you sleep. You work harder to keep up, but prices always run faster than you do. Inflation is a slow theft, stealing from the future you thought was secure. Who gains from this? The system. Your effort feeds it, while your purchasing power fades into the past. The next link is debt. They call it credit, as if it's a gift. Credit cards, mortgages, student loans, each one sold as a step toward a better life. But behind every loan is a lifetime of payments. Interest compounds against you, dragging you deeper month after month. Banks profit from your dependence. They don't want you to pay everything off. They want you to keep paying forever. Then comes consumption. Advertising works like a hypnotist. It whispers, "Buy this and you'll be happy." You trade your hours for money, and then trade that money for things you don't need, things designed to lose value the moment you own them. The system rewards this because it keeps you running. You rarely stop to ask, "Do I own this, or does it own me?" And there is one more link, the most dangerous of all. Fear. Fear of losing your job. Fear of not having enough. Fear of falling behind everyone around you. Fear is the lock that holds every other chain in place. It keeps you from taking risks, from questioning the rules, from stepping off the track. Fear convinces you that staying inside the cage is safer than looking for the key. Think about it. Why do so few ever escape? Because they can't see what binds them. They believe this is just how life works. Even when they climb higher, they don't realize the ladder is leaning against the wrong wall. Every raise, every promotion, every bonus simply polishes the chains, making them comfortable enough to ignore. The system doesn't need you to stay. It doesn't need guards or fences. It only needs to convince you there is no other option. And it works because the chains are invisible. Even your savings, the money you believe is safe, is part of the trap. Hidden fees, low returns, and sudden market crashes silently eat away at what you've built. You can follow every rule they gave you and still end up losing. Look back at every major collapse, 2008, the dot-com bubble, the housing crash. People who thought they were secure lost everything overnight, while those who wrote the rules walked away richer. The chains don't break in these moments, they tighten. Now you see them. Inflation, debt, consumption, fear. 4 links in a chain you were never supposed to notice. But this is only the surface, because while you fight to break free, there's another layer, an illusion far more dangerous. The one that makes you believe you're escaping, when in reality, you're sinking even deeper. You've seen the chains. You've felt how tightly they hold you. But here's the real question. Why don't people fight back? Why do billions stay on the track, generation after generation, never asking where it leads? Because the system learned something long ago. A cage is easiest to maintain when the prisoner believes it's not there. So they don't just lock you in, they hand you dreams. They sell you stories, beautiful, comforting promises. The first is the promise of credit. They dress it up with glossy ads, happy families and new houses, young couples in shiny cars, vacations on beaches you can't afford. The message is always the same: buy now, pay later. But later never ends.
Month after month, you pay for yesterday, and tomorrow's money is already gone. Interest grows quietly, like a shadow following you wherever you go. What was sold as freedom becomes a leash. You think you own the things you bought, but they own you. The second is the promise of retirement. Every paycheck, a piece is taken. Pensions, funds, Social Security. You're told this is safety, a net that will catch you. But nets break. Companies collapse, and with them, decades of your savings disappear. Governments shift the rules, raising the retirement age so you have to work longer. In 2008, millions saw their savings evaporate in days, while the architects of the crash walked away with bonuses. The workers at Enron trusted their company, and when it fell, so did their futures. You were told to wait patiently for freedom at 65, but the finish line moves every time you get close. And then comes the most seductive of all, the promise of control. They tell you that you're in charge of your destiny. They hand you apps, trading platforms, and financial tools that make you feel powerful. But every move you make is inside their system, under their rules. And the house always wins. Even when you think you're beating the game, you're still playing their game. Look at history. Look closely at every crisis. The dot-com bubble, the housing collapse, the pandemic. Ordinary people lost homes, savings, futures, while those who built the rules emerged richer than ever. These promises kept people calm, obedient, believing that their sacrifices were leading somewhere. They weren't. This is the genius of the trap. It doesn't need bars or guards. It doesn't need to force you to stay. It convinces you that staying is your choice. You think you're escaping. You think you're winning. But every step forward was carefully designed to lead you back into the cage. So ask yourself, if these promises are illusions, what's left? Is there a way out of a system where every road circles back to the same place? The answer exists, but it's not where they told you to look. It's hidden, buried deep, and only those who break the illusion ever find it. Because the next part is not about chains. It's about the crack in the wall they never wanted you to see. There's a reason you've never been shown the way out. The system doesn't build walls to keep you in. It builds noise. Noise to distract you, rules to confuse you, false exits to make you believe you're free while you stay exactly where they want you. The true escape is not where they told you to look. It's not in working harder. It's not in waiting longer. It begins where their map ends, and it starts with unlearning everything you've been taught to believe. The first secret is this: freedom never comes from trading time for money. From childhood, you were conditioned to think every hour sold brings independence closer. But hours are finite, and while you work, they raise the cost of everything around you. The value of your labor is capped, but the price of your life keeps climbing. Those who break free stop selling time. They create things that work in their place. Businesses that grow, assets that generate income, investments that work while they sleep. They stop being a cog and start owning the machine. The second secret: you cannot win their game by following their rules. The system tells you to save in currencies they control, to trust pensions they manage, to invest in markets they manipulate. This is not safety. It's a slow bleed disguised as order. Those who escape step outside the framework. They build ownership where the system can't quietly drain it. They diversify. They create. They use knowledge as a shield. Skills and networks become their armor because no market crash can erase what's in your mind and who you know. The third secret: freedom begins the moment you reclaim your time. Time is the currency they fear most. That's why the system fills your days with endless work, endless payments, endless distractions. When you stop letting them dictate how every hour is spent, the chains begin to crack. You start to see opportunities others are blind to. You question deals others accept. The cage appears for what it really is, and once you see it, it can no longer hold you. Look closely at those who stepped outside. They didn't wait for permission. They didn't follow the script. They dared to question everything. And when they did, they saw the cracks no one else noticed. Entrepreneurs who built empires from an idea. Investors who walked away from the rat race. Creators who turned their skills into freedom. Every one of them stopped running on the wheel. The system fought back. It tried to label them reckless, tried to scare others with stories of failure. Some were crushed, but many broke through, and once they crossed the line, they were untouchable. Because the system can only control those who stay inside its game. And when they stopped, something remarkable happened. The door that was invisible to everyone else appeared. It was there all along, hidden in plain sight. This is what the system fears the most. The moment you walk through that door, you can't be controlled. You can't be pulled back into the loop. You don't play their game anymore. That's why they bury this knowledge under fear, confusion, and the belief that freedom is impossible. They will try to convince you it's too risky. They will say you're dreaming. They will flood you with stories of those who failed just to keep you afraid of trying. Because if too many people see the crack in the wall, the entire structure begins to tremble. Now you've seen it, the illusion, the cage, and the way out they never wanted you to notice. The only question left is this: will you step through it? Because once you do, the world changes. Nothing looks the same, and there is no going back.
Every system has a weak point. You've just seen theirs. Now, you stand at the edge of the loop. Behind you, the life they mapped out. Predictable, safe, controlled. Ahead, the unknown. The path they never wanted you to see. Most people will turn back. They'll convince themselves the cage is comfort, that the promises still hold value. They'll silence the questions in their minds and keep running. But a few will take the step no one expects. They'll cross the line, and nothing will ever control them again. The truth you heard here is not meant to make you comfortable. It's meant to wake you up. And if it did, then don't keep it to yourself. Hit like so this message escapes the noise. Subscribe because the next revelations go further into the secrets they work so hard to keep hidden. Every view, every share, every voice breaks another crack in the wall. The system counts on your silence. Prove it wrong. The choice is yours. Stay where it's safe, or step through and see what freedom really looks like.